Thank you everyone for joining this Zoom on Great Films Start in the Capital Region. It's really exciting time in our region, and I have two of the best film commissioners on the call with me, Donna Pennell from Film Schenectady and Denee Zeigler from the city of Troy. And they are both very active in this role in their communities, and it's, like I said, it's a really exciting time for the region. I know maybe Donna and Denee, you could just give a quick brief overview of, an intro and how long you've possibly been involved in this, and just a little tidbit you can share with the group.
Okay. Do you want me to go first? Because mine's shorter. You have a more.
Sure.
I'm Denee. I'm from the city of Troy. I act as like the film contact. We don't have a commissioner for the county, but we have a tourism department for the county that I work with from time to time when we get requests for things outside of Troy. But I've been doing this about a year, so I'm very glad to be doing it. It's something I'm really interested in. I really want to see happen more in our area because I want to showcase all of our, our really great features that we have and talent. But I am pretty new to the process, and these other film commissioners have been really helpful and instrumental in helping me learn a lot and, try and help these film production companies and location people when they ask for, for locations. These guys are a really great resource. So I've really only helped with the Gilded Age so far, which was like a trial by fire type of thing where it was already a big production and it was heading into the second season. So yeah, that's about it.
Okay. Well, I've been a film commissioner in Schenectady County since 2016. We were appointed by Mayor McCarthy back then. So it's been a bit. Film Schenectady and Discover Schenectady joined together back in about a year and a half ago. So I am now under that umbrella, serving the county. And I have a background in production. I've actually worked in production. I've had my own companies in production since 1996 and worked in the industry prior to that out in Los Angeles. So I'm pretty familiar with the industry, but serving in the role as commissioner has been really fulfilling, especially seeing the growth that we've seen in our area with productions of all sizes coming here. And just as Denee mentioned and Annamaria, we all work together to do what we can to serve them, whether it be locations or anything for that matter. We're here to facilitate.
And let me get to my next slide, but it will actually, let's see, here we go. We are an alliance. We are an alliance of film commissioners in this region, and we're all very proud of the Capital Region. So as you can see, we're a collaborative of several commissioners working to advance film in our area. And, at least on this call, Donna probably has the most experience, and she's probably seen the most growth over the years. But since COVID, we have had an influx of a lot of production companies wanting to film in our region. So it is very exciting. So as you can see, we represent Albany. Debbie Gedicke, who was not able to join us tonight, is the Albany Film Commissioner. And you just met Denee. You met Donna and myself. And in the Adirondack region, Andrew Meter is the film commissioner there. And when we get towards the end of our slides, I have everybody's websites linked, their individual sites, if you want to check those out. And as well, on the bottom of this slide, you'll see that is our regional Alliance film website. And then just that little photo there is part of the filming of Paint, which took place in Saratoga, which was really exciting. Since I've been in this role several years, we just haven't had any recent, productions of this size. So this was really, really a fun project to work on. And, for those of you who are familiar with some of the movies that have been filmed in Saratoga, probably Horse Whisperer. Oh my goodness, it's escaping me all of a sudden.
Mhm.
Seabiscuit were probably two of the most recent feature films, and those were definitely several years ago. So, and I never did get to meet Owen Wilson, but a lot of the community members did, and he was very kind, and a lot of people had a lot of good feedback on meeting him. So we definitely work a little bit behind the scenes as film commissioners. And my next slide, you can see what we do. And we act as liaisons between anyone who's going to be involved in a production, whether it's the police, the fire department, local officials, businesses, any other businesses you can think of, ladies, that, you've worked with on productions that I didn't include in there. It could just be some random odd thing too. But as I said, we're just the liaison. We're the glue that holds it all together and connects people to make these productions successful. We also assist with permitting, provide location assistance, and just basically any aspect of your film that you could imagine we can handle, and we make it happen. So, we're quick to respond. I think that's another reason people really like filming in this region. When we get to my next slide, I'll explain that a little more. But as you can see, some examples include securing lodging, identifying different businesses that the companies need. So caterers, vendors, costuming, oh my gosh, hardware stores, just anything you can think of that a production would need when they come into town. And it's really interesting to see what some of the things are that they need. And just, everyone also works with just establishing key partnerships in their community and to make these things happen quickly. So I don't know if anybody has an example of anything, but just for example, for paint, it was working closely with the police and the fire department for different regulations, different road closures, things like that. So it's nice when you have those relationships established and you can just kind of jump right in and get things rolling. Anything to add, guys, or?
Add to that too, and of course, working with local officials is huge. And I'm looking at the photo there of Armory Studios. Full scale. That was a full scale carnival, actually, that they brought into that soundstage. And for Pretty Little Liars when they filmed there last year. And they also did a lot of filming outside, and working with city and county officials was huge, because we did have to close down a lot of roads around that to have them take the roads over. They had huge boom lifts. So yeah, those relationships are essential to make sure that process goes well, smooth.
And we have a lot of public transportation, like interwoven through downtown Troy. There's a lot of one-way streets, and so if a street has to be closed off, it's, we do have a person at CDTA where we can email him and we give him the maps that the production team shares with us, and then he kind of just reroutes all the buses on an app. So that's a pretty cool thing too. But we can't forget the buses.
Exactly.
No, cannot. Donna, can you, for those who aren't familiar with the Armory, can you just tell them a little bit about it, because it's such a great studio?
Thank you. Yeah. So Armory Studios is located right in the heart of downtown Schenectady. If anyone is familiar with where SUNY Schenectady is, it's right across the street from that on the corner of Washington near State. And it is a New York State qualified production facility. So what that means is productions that come up here are able to take advantage of our film tax credit by using that facility. And it is a over 90,000 square foot facility. The main stage there that you see in that photo is 30 feet wide by 50 feet tall. There's a variety of levels to that building, as you saw, Annamaria, when you toured it. We also have Studio B, which is right next door, and they just continue to expand in that area.
It's really impressive. Right now, the Van Gogh exhibit's going on, so maybe some of you have visited visited the Armory, but it's really amazing that they could host a full-scale carnival inside the building. That had to be pretty neat watching it get built out.
It was. It's amazing how much space is in there. When Modern Love was here, they built 9 sets in that space and just continued, to strike them and rotate. So it's a big space.
It really is. Very neat that we have that in our area. Okay, I'm going to jump to our next slide. So the types of productions, it can be pretty much anything. TV, what Modern Love, films, documentaries, commercials. And you'll see a photo there below from the Gilded Age. And why do people want to film here? We're a diverse area. We have great locations, anything from, mountains, highways, where people can do, chase scenes. And, some of our buildings look like they're from, as the Gilded Age. What years were they looking to, copy there, Denee?
It was set in the late 1800s.
Right, late 1800s. So yeah. Some of the storefronts, can double for that time period. Just like I said, a ton of diverse locations, and it's pretty. We make things nice and easy for the companies because we're really interested in having them here and hosting them, and it brings a great economic benefit to our area. It's more affordable than a lot of areas that film companies go to. Less red tape. There's some probably hefty application fees and different things like that, and different larger communities. And also the New York State Film Tax Credit Program. And we'll get to that. Donna's going to tell us a little bit more about that as we get through the program. But during COVID, I know a number of us had different productions coming in, and it was just a little bit easier to navigate the waters here because we are smaller, and we can, just be that front person to get things done and make it a lot easier. And once somebody films here, they want to come back. So that's a great reason to get familiarized with our area and be a part of this great industry here.
COVID, definitely, to go back to that, it drove productions to our area, because our phase 4 opened here prior to the city. And so we had all these productions that were looking to push, north. And, we ended up with Modern Love, Amazon Prime, at Armory Studios for close to 6 months, 5.5 months they were there. Everything was closed. Everything was closed in the city. They took over every hotel, and it was really a huge economic boost that the city, the county needed at that time. And I know they spread it out into, using locations in other counties. So it was a blessing. COVID wasn't a blessing, but it was an eye opener, because I think once the production started coming up this way, as you mentioned, they started to see we have, and that we do have
everything all in one space. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We do have so many diverse locations. You have Troy, which, mimics like in New York City. Albany, as you mentioned, has roadways, and it has buildings that, very similar to something you would find in DC, and Saratoga, of course, stunning. You've got the track, you've got all kinds of quaint neighborhoods, and you've got the Adirondacks, and like everybody has a little something different, and we're all just a stone's throw over the city line. So it's a very easy commute for everybody. And yes, a lot less red tape.
And if we don't, if someone contacts me and I don't have that, we all work really well together, and we just touch base with each other. And, I always say a win for anyone in the region is a win for all of us, because it does extend itself, like Donna mentioned, all the hotels were booked in Schenectady. So they, went out to other properties in the area. So like I said, it's like a win-win, no matter how you look at it. Even if it's not necessarily, happening in my community, it's definitely a win for the whole region. So the next slide, that's just some recent productions that have taken place here. We talked about The Gilded Age, Modern Love, White House Plumbers, Pretty Little Liars, of course, Paint, and Mother's Milk was recently filmed in Albany. And then again, just some slides. I like the slide or the photo with The Gilded Age with the dirt going all over the place.
That became like a tourist attraction in itself. I mean, they set it up and it transformed that whole area, for a number of days, and there's other events happening. So, there's like Troy Night Out, people are eating outside on the next street over, there's horses walking by on the dirt roads. So it was a pretty cool experience. It was like you were on a set, just, having your dinner on a Friday night while the set was happening right next to you. So, and people just come to see all the dirt. It was just amazing that there was so much dirt in the road, because everybody's, they try and keep their streets clean. The street cleaners run all the time, and there was just so much dirt, like inches of it.
Do you know how many truckloads they had to bring in?
Honestly, I don't, but I should probably look that up. That was a little before I was kind of just transitioning in, but I mean, that truck right there in that picture says it all. There was probably 20 or 30 of those, because it was everywhere.
Yeah, wow. That's pretty neat. It's just so fascinating to see how these companies can transform anything into like a set. It amazes me. And when I watch movies, I watch it differently, because I'm like, wow, how did they do that? Or how did they transform that location? It's just really, really neat.
Yeah.
And our next slide, I'm going to let Donna talk a little on this, but these are all productions that have happened in Schenectady. So Donna, I don't know if there's anything unique or interesting you want to talk about with these, but
okay. Yeah. So the right at the top there, that is Armory Studios. That's the exterior. I mentioned that a little bit ago, how they had to shut roads down all around that. And that was the entrance to the carnival that they filmed there. Again, that was last year, January, February, that they filmed that. And to the right of that is Showtime, Pretty Little Liars. Showtime's Three Women. And they were in town filming. Actually, they filmed, again, talking about how they film in different areas. They were here, they were in Albany. They filmed at different locations while they were in the region. And down at the bottom left corner, that is a series that's on Travel Channel, Discovery Network, called A Haunting. And they were in town filming at a home in Lower Union. I can't really say what home, can't say the home, but they were in town filming down on Lower Union in downtown Schenectady. And then to the right of that, on the bottom, that is a short film that was done fall of last year. And he'll be back to do some more filming, Rory Clark. That was a short titled Blood Tax, and it is a story on Sergeant Henry Johnson. And they filmed the entire thing in Schenectady using the Armory Studios and various locations around Schenectady County.
Very exciting. So our next slide is, it's really, I don't know how exciting everyone thinks this is, but I think it's pretty exciting. I mean, just the actual boost to the economy that films can bring to an area is incredible. So, some of the things that we mentioned are, like hotel rooms, restaurants, anything that a tourist would use when they're visiting. So would film production companies, and they can rent, for example, they could rent 50 rooms every night for 45 days, for example. I mean, that's a really great boost to someone's local economy. And those people are going out and they're dining and they're shopping and they're, they're doing all the same things you would do, visiting attractions and taking part, in recreation and different things like that. But I'm going to let Donna talk to this slide a little bit more as well. So take it away.
I mean, you hit on fantastic points. I mean, and just to look over the chart, I mean, this is the 2019, 2020. We haven't seen the ones yet for 21 and 22 yet. But you're looking at nearly $10 billion that was generated in direct spending in New York State over a 2-year period. That's a lot of money. And then you look at the jobs, the total jobs, 114,186 total jobs from that. The numbers are there, and you can look at this. Obviously, it's statewide, but upstate, we see a lot of that. We see millions that are poured into the entire upstate region from film, and it does support a lot of businesses. And it's not just the hotels and the restaurants, but it filters down into money spent at the smaller local businesses as well. And I know you've all heard the stories when you've had the productions come in, where they're going or who they may be hiring to work on sets or using their services and resources. So it trickles down into the local economy, and definitely polls is definitely a moneymaker, film and television.
We had an interesting thing happen. I'll just add real quick, because of the Gilded Age, and it was, set in a different time period and the historical architecture. Kathy Sheehan is the historian at the Historical Society in Troy, and she did a talk with some of the other locations where they had filmed the Gilded Age, and they said that they've had a 40% increase in visitation and interest to all of their historical sites. Just one, they want to go to the sites where it was filmed and see it, but then while they're there, they pick up on some other things that interest them, and then they start expanding out. So they said it kind of has snowballed the interest that people have had in all these historic sites. So I thought that was really cool. All their walking tours and informational, sessions are like always sold out, which I think is an added benefit to the, just the regular economic benefit that it comes from filming. But it's kind of like spreading out to other areas, which is cool.
And that's that induced number you see there, just people interested in locations, or someone might see something like the racetrack in Saratoga and they saw it in Seabiscuit and they want to come visit. So like things like that. And a lot of communities actually have different tours, movie productions. I know it's not movie, but Broadway, when Hamilton, was on Broadway, or I don't know, is it still there? I'm not sure exactly, but that increased visitation to some of our historical sites in the region, like the Zeigler House and places like that. So people are really interested in that, and I think that's kind of fun. Gives them a little taste of stardom. I don't know, Donna, if you have anything to add on the job piece, but there are some really great jobs that can, to be had if someone is interested in this industry. And the below the line jobs, maybe you can explain that a little bit, or what some of those jobs might be.
Yeah, I mean, anyone that has an interest in getting involved, they should, certainly reach out. But when we have productions come in and they're looking to bring in PAs, there's ways to get in. And we're always talking about workforce development. There are programs that are starting locally. I know we have one that's going to kick up at our Seat Center, which is directly behind Armory Studios. That's going to start in the summer. And below the line jobs. There's also, of course, programs that are down in Hudson at Stockade Works. If somebody really wanted to jump and start, get a jump on some training and they're looking to get in. But there's always room to get your foot in the door on a production. There's people that have started here. When we had Pretty Little Liars here. We ended up bringing in, it was over 410 was a total of crew and cast on that production. But they were hiring local crew constantly while they were here. And they hired local. They were hiring a lot of local to work on that while they were in town.
That's great.
Yeah.
Really great. And that can lead to, traveling with other productions.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So if anyone on the presentation knows somebody who's looking to possibly get into any sort of employment, we can certainly help you with that, or at least getting them pointed in the right direction. So I'm going to jump to the next slide. But like I said, as you can see, the numbers really do speak volumes of economic impact. So it's really a neat thing. Okay, next slide. So if anyone is interested in getting a little bit more involved in this, and maybe you're just starting out and you want to dive in a little bit more, different ways that you can get involved are to possibly just join a local arts organization. There's all kinds of things going on, not just in filming, other arts scenes too. But we recently had an event here in Saratoga, and all the film commissioners were at it. And it was a film networking event. And it was really great. People got to get together and just talk to each other about their craft and, speak about upcoming projects they were working on, networking. So it was a lot of fun. I know there's definitely a couple, if not more, social media sites that people could follow on Facebook. I don't know if you guys know of any other ones.
I always recommend, I know you guys each have a film Facebook page, and Film Albany, Deb is very active on her page, and she shares a lot of pretty good sites and has a pretty good number of followers. So there's always good information there. But once you start seeing them, you start seeing the same places like Stockade Works, and they have really cool boot camps that they do for training, for various positions. But I would suggest Film Albany and then the Hudson Valley pages and your pages as well. Troy doesn't have one yet, but I might just sneak it in at some point.
So I know, like, for example, there have been different events, and they, Debbie will post them on there, and some of the different, I believe there's a 518 film or something like that. There's some groups out there that you can find just different information on, like castings and different things like that. So that's another way to kind of see what's happening in the area. You can always look for opportunities as an extra in a film, which would definitely be a lot of fun. And I know, like I said, there's a lot of casting calls, and they're usually, looking for different extras for things. So that would be a really neat way to get involved. And I know we have a few different film festivals in our area. And a way to get involved is to volunteer and see what's happening. So, I believe we have definitely 2 or 3 film festivals right in the Albany area that I know of.
Pretty large too. Yeah.
So those are some different ways that one can dip their toe in the water in the film industry.
Yeah, it's always a good way. The little events that we've had so far I think we have it's like approachable for people maybe that are just trying to, like you said, dip their toe in the water. But we always have really good panelists, I think. Like you guys all pull together, people that you've worked with along the way to speak out at the events. And, that's just another way, if you want to get involved, just be ready to put yourself out there and introduce yourself, because it's a pretty open group of people, I think, welcoming.
Yes, and very creative, lots
Yeah.
of fun. I mean, our industry, we had a regional film industry day last May, and it was great. Just met a ton of really great people. So I'm not sure if we're doing that again, but stay tuned and we'll announce it if we do. And then the next slide is just showing like we work together to place an ad in Movie Maker magazine. So we're working together to market the area, and trying to reach out to a broader audience. Some of these things, as you probably can guess, take a lot of funds to do. So we don't all have huge budgets, but we really, I think what we do spend and what we do have, we make it work really well. So for anyone involved in marketing and advertising, a lot of these things are not necessarily inexpensive to do, but we all have different connections in the industry, and we share with one another. And like I said, we're advocating for our region, and we're just working together to get more productions here. So that is really the heart of the presentation. I've listed all of our different film commissions here, their individual sites, if anybody's interested in just getting more information. And then on some prior slides, I had our regional site listed. So unless Donna or Denee have anything to add, we were really happy to answer some questions.